Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour, and today is Thursday, June 24th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or listening through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever discovered in my 47 years of doing therapy. These tools are gratefully available absolutely free on the internet through the tireless efforts of Michael and Jeannie Rice. If you go to the website whyagain.org and click on the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner of the page, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool having the great effect for over 17 years to improve the quality of my life and relationships and turn any negative emotional state I have into part of that infallible guidance system that each of us has been gifted. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click it, download it, print it off, and use it as often as you'd like. You can download an app from your app store that contains that worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game. All you have to do is type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness, and you'll see the glowing heart icon. And that will let you get access to this powerful tool absolutely free. It's a private app, and it is a powerful way to carry this healing tool with you wherever you have your smartphone or your tablet. You can also download a whole host of audio files that have been curated out from the past 10 years of this show. Some of those files contain the audio of somebody calling in and saying, I've got this problem, I'd like some help working through this worksheet, or can you help me understand how the worksheet process works, or what's the dynamic underlying it. Some of those files are testimonials of how the effective application of these tools in people's lives is transforming their lives for the better. And we hope you do that soon and often, because that tends to produce comments and questions and answers. And if you have those, give us a call at 563-999-3581. Call that number and press 1, and it will put a little question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code. We're also working through the Course in Miracles lessons this year in the workbook of the Course in Miracles. Today is the 175th day of the year, and that lesson is part of a review. It starts with the reminder that creation is but love, and therefore so am I. And lesson 159's review is, I give the miracles I have received. Creation is but love, and therefore so am I. Lesson 160, I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. Creation is but love, and therefore so am I. And the Pam Grout book, A Course in Miracles Experiment, Lesson 175 is titled, I am a special effects animator, quantum style. Pam quotes Fyodor Dostoevsky as saying, man only likes to count his troubles, but he does not count his joys. Pam writes, the dude is but love, and therefore so am I. I give the miracles I have received. I am at home, and fear is the stranger here. Before entering the hospital room of a TB patient, visitors are required to cover their entire bodies. They even don surgical masks. None of us balk at this. I am going to pause while I restart my Kindle because most of that lesson is missing. All right. None of us balk at this overcautious behavior. Tuberculosis is contagious, for goodness sake, so we go to great lengths to avoid exposure. Yet, we never protect ourselves from the bad news we see on television, the horrible tweets that pop up on our phones. The news media presents a tiny speck of a reality far removed from true, capital R, reality. It's so limited in dimension and scope of understanding that paying close attention is like having one of those "please kick me" signs pinned to your back. The news media feeds us small bites of trivial matter, tidbits that don't really concern our lives and don't require thinking. Out of thousands of news stories and tweets I've read, not one, but I consumed it anyway, not one of them helped me make a better decision about a serious matter affecting my life. Quote, news, close quotes, is just one corporation's opinion. It's mostly clickbait, completely irrelevant to my well-being. Truly creative minds, whether they're composers, mathematicians, scientists, authors, or musicians, could care less about what's trending on Twitter. My mission now is to pay more attention to the collective rhythm and wisdom emanating from the larger whole, what I often call the divine buzz. It might sound big and cosmic, but it's really the most natural thing in the world, and it's a gazillion times more resourceful and richer in content than anything I could ever hear on CNN. So, I give the miracles I have received. I am at home here, and fear is the stranger. God, life, creation is but love, and therefore so am I. So that's our Course in Miracles lesson for today, and we have 50 minutes to talk, to answer your questions, to discuss questions you have, to listen to your answers, to take suggestions about topics for the day or people I should interview for the Mind Shifters Radio, or them, which chokes off the potential for resolution or intimacy in a relationship, or continuing to just bring the same arguments to the table and never get any resolution, any negotiated agreement for having everybody get their needs met in the process of actually being connected in relationship. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight in the support group. If you'd like to join us, it's absolutely free. It'll be from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Central. Information about how to join us through Zoom on the Internet is available at mindshiftersacademy.org. And I'll remind you that if you go there, there's a separate page for Tuesday and Thursday support groups. It's quite difficult to join us if you're on the wrong page and type in the wrong meeting ID for Zoom. And if you're not available during that time slot today or not interested, from which I feel like a competent, effective, compassionate psychologist, and I can be put in another situation and another position emerges where I feel like the overweight, clumsy teenager or preteen that wasn't as smart as the people he wanted to be friends with. And so if that part of me is resonated, if that position comes forward, in that moment I don't have access to my adult competencies and life experiences and wisdoms. And So there's another comment or question here from Susan about suggestions on how to meditate, and we'll put that one on hold for a minute and perhaps come back to it. The other thing is, she says, Gabor Mate talks about people who get ill as being selfless and kind. And then Susan writes, true selflessness and kindness would lead to tremendously good health, I would think. So what happened? She says, I have my hunches, but would love to hear what you have to say. Well, the first thing I want to say is...
Who's had trouble getting into the show and given up, please talk to them again and invite them to come back and play the game with us. But how can we support you? Is this whole body of work making sense to you? I hope it is. And, of course, if you're ready to advance to the next level, we're here to answer questions 5 days a week. Or you can go to our website. I'm not sure exactly how many pages, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 pages of website. You can go to our YouTube channel. Again, I don't know how many videos are there, but dozens upon dozens upon dozens, all to help build the brain cells, all to strengthen and empower and to support people.
Though he was seen by most people as this super loving, ultra giving healer, physician, advocate for the downtrodden, etc. But the fact of the matter is, what was driving that in him were very unhealthy personal dynamics, and what it led him to was neglect of his children.
Definitely want to experience the impact that your writing's going to have in the lives of many, 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 many women as you share the principles from the perspective of your experience in entering into the healing process. When Jeannie and I first met, Jeannie knew nothing about this work. And actually our initial conversations were around this work and the development of the brain cells for the Aramaic healing process. And so I can remember our early conversations, and it was all about, well, wait a minute, didn't churchianity have all the answers? And then this was before we even physically met. And when we first met, I just happened to have a copy of the personal code evaluation with me and asked Jeannie if she'd like to take it, and she said, what's that? So I explained, it's a way to look at your mind and see what's going on. She said, sure. And then, Jeannie, what happened?
Well, my scores were horrible. But then...
Actually...
Shortly, like we met between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
We had been cold to one another since our divorce when our son was 15. Point 9. In addition, I have a rewarding job, good health, and a girlfriend whom I love and respect. Point 10. In short, I'm going on with things in a way that makes it appear like I'm adjusting to life without my son. But the fact is, I'm living in a private hell. Sometimes the pain is so great, I simply lie in my bed and wail. Point 11. I can't stop thinking about my son, about the things he would be doing now if he were alive, and also the things I did with him when he was young. My good memories of him, my wish to go back in time and either relive happy memories or alter those that are less happy. Point 12. One thing I would change is when, at 17, my son informed me he was gay. I didn't quite believe him or understand, so I inquired in a negative tone, but how can you not like girls? I quickly came to embrace him for who he was, but I regret my initial reaction to his homosexuality, and I never apologized to him for it. I believe he knew I loved him. I believe he knew I wanted him to be happy no matter what path his happiness might take. But, dear sugar, for this and other things, I am tormented anyway. Point 13. I hate the man who killed my son. For his crime, he was incarcerated for 18 months and then released. He wrote me a letter of apology, but I ripped it into pieces and threw it in the garbage after barely scanning it. Point 14. My son's former boyfriend has stayed in touch with my ex-wife and me, and we care for him a great deal. Recently, he invited us to a party where he informed us we would meet his new boyfriend, his first serious boyfriend since our son. We both lied and said we had other engagements, but the real reason we declined is that neither of us could bear meeting his new partner. Point 15. I fear you will choose not to answer my letter because you haven't lost a child. Point 16. I fear if you choose to answer my letter, people will make critical comments about you, saying you don't have the right to speak on this matter because you have not lost a child. Point 17. I pray you will never lose a child. Point 18. I will understand if you choose not to answer my letter. Most people, kind as they are, don't know what to say to me. So why should you? I certainly didn't know what to say to people such as me before my son died. So I don't blame others for their discomfort. Point 19. I'm writing to you because the way you've written about your grief over your mother dying so young has been meaningful to me. I'm convinced that if anyone can shed dead dad. Number one, I don't know how you go on without your son. I only know that you do, and you have, and you will. Point number 2, your shattering sorrow light of a letter is proof of that. Point number 3, you don't need me to tell you how to be human again. You are there in all of your humanity, shining unimpeachably before every person reading these words right now. Point number 4, I'm sorry for your loss. I am so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for your loss. Point number 5, you could stitch together a quilt with all the times that has been and will be said to you. You could make a river of consolation words, but they won't bring your son back. They won't keep that man from getting into his car and careening through that red light at the precise moment your son was in his path. Point number 6, you'll never get that. Point number 7, I hope you remember that when you peel back the rage and you peel back the idle thoughts of suicide and you peel back all the things you imagined your son would be but wasn't, and you peel back the man who got into the car and drove when he shouldn't have, and you peel back the man who the man your son loved, now loves, and you peel back all the good times you had, and you peel back all the things you wish you had done differently, at the center of that, there is your pure father love that is stronger than anything. Point number 8, no one can touch that love or alter it or take it away from you. Your love for your son belongs only to you. It will live in you until the day you die. Point number 9, Small things such as this have saved me. How much I love my mother, even after all these years. How powerfully I carry her within me. My grief is tremendous, but my love is bigger. So is yours. You are not grieving your son's death because his death was ugly and unfair. You're grieving it because you loved him truly. The beauty in that is greater than the bitterness of his death. Point number 10, allowing such small things into your consciousness will not keep you from your suffering, but it will help you survive the next day. Point number 11, I keep imagining you lying on your bed and wailing. I keep thinking that as hard as it is to do, it's time for you to go silent and lift your head from the bed and listen to what's there in the wake of your wail. Point number 12, it's your life. The one you must make in the obliterated place that's now your world, where everything you used to be is simultaneously erased and omnipresent, where you are forevermore a living dead dad. Point number 13, your boy is dead, but he will continue to live within you. Your love and grief will be unending, but it will also shift in shape. There are things about your son's life and your own that you can't understand now. There are things you will understand in 1 year, and in 10 years, and in 20. Point number 14. The word obliterate comes from the Latin obliterare. OB means against. Literare means letter or script. A literal translation is being against the letters. It was impossible for you to write me a letter, so you made a list instead. It is impossible for you to go on as you were before, so you must go on as you have never been. Point number 15. It is wrong that this is required of you. It is wrong that your son died. It will always be wrong. Point number 16. The obliterated place is equal parts destruction and creation. The obliterated place is pitch black and bright light. It is water That's what you're saying in your letter to me, living dead dad. You've made it so long without your sweet boy, and now you can't take it anymore. But you can. You must. Point 18. More will be revealed. Your son hasn't yet taught you everything he has to teach you. He taught you how to love like you've never loved before. He taught you how to suffer like you've never suffered before. Perhaps the next thing he has to teach you is acceptance. And perhaps the thing after that, forgiveness. Point number 19. Forgiveness bellows from the bottom of the canoe. There are stories you'll learn if you're strong enough to travel there. There are doubts and dangers and unfathomable travesties, and one of them might cure you. I am interrupting this to check in with Susan. Are you there?
Hi. Yep. Hi.
You texted me something that I cut out?
Yeah, you cut out, you said something about water. and then you came back in about 15 seconds. So there was just a little bit we missed in there, and maybe nobody else missed it, but I was right here listening. Hate to miss any of this. This is absolutely fabulous.
All right. So I thank you for that, and I will just, why don't you press, you don't have to press 1 on your phone. I'll mute you, and I'll back up to point 17, and please let me know if it cuts out again. Point number 17, you have the power to withstand this sorrow. We all do, though we all claim not to. We say things like, I couldn't go on, instead of saying, I hope I won't have to. That's what you're saying in your letter to me, Living Dead Dad. You've made it so long without your sweet boy, and now you can't take it anymore. But you can, and you must. Point 18, more will be revealed. Your son hasn't yet taught you everything he has to teach you. He taught you how to love like you've never loved before. He taught you how to suffer like you've never suffered before. Perhaps the next thing he has to teach you is acceptance. And perhaps the next thing after that, forgiveness. Point 19. Forgiveness bellows from the bottom of the canoe. There are doubts, dangers, unfathomable travesties. There are stories you'll learn if you're strong enough to travel there. One of them might cure you. Point number 20. When my son was 6, he said, we don't know how many years we have for our lives. People die at all ages. He said it without anguish or remorse, without fear or desire. It has been healing to me to accept in a very simple way that my mother's life was 45 years long, that there was nothing beyond that. There was only my expectation that there would be. I expected to see my mother at 89, my mother at...
Went out again, Dr. Tim.
Dr. Tim?
Dr. Tim, if you're still on, we can't hear you. It went out when you said I expected to see my mother at 89 or something like that, and then it quit. I don't know if he can still hear us. I read this yesterday after he talked about it, and it was awesome.
Jeannie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I
don't know. Yeah, he's still showing up on the switchboard, but is that you, Dr. Tim, at 847 number? It's really weird because I didn't turn them on, but there was another number on the switchboard that...
It's Mary.
Hello?
Hi. Hi.
Oh, hey. How did you get turned on?
I sent him a text, so I think he may have turned my mic on.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully he'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. I was just saying after he talked about this yesterday, I went out and read it, and I was just in tears. It was like awesome. Such good advice.
You know, from the bottom of the well. Yeah.
So we're looking forward tonight to hearing that Glennon Doyle thing, too. It's been some really good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's a podcast tonight. He said it was really good.
Oh, good.
Group night, everybody. Come on.
Whoa. Did he have to hang up and call back in last time?
No,
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, not this time, but the other day. Oh,
there you are.
I'm here.
Yeah, it is. It's doing the same thing it did the other day, where it kicks me off but it won't let me call back in because it hasn't disconnected my number. So.
Oh, that's weird because it shows you on there twice now. It cut you off just as you were saying I expected to see my mother at, I think it was 89 or something like that, and then we didn't hear anything after that.
Right.
So to redo that point number 20, when my son was 6, he said, quote, "We don't know how many years we have for our lives. People die at all ages," end quote. He said it without anguish or remorse, without fear or desire. It has been healing to me to accept in a very simple way that my mother's life was 45 years long, that there was nothing beyond that. There was only my expectation that there would be. I expected my mother at 89, my mother at 63, my mother at 46. Yet these things don't exist. They never did. Point 21. Dear living dead dad, think my son's life was 22 years long, and breathe in. Think my son's life was 22 years long, and breathe out. Point 23, there is no 23. Point 24, you go on by doing the best you can. You go on by being generous. You go on by being true. You go on by offering comfort to others who can't go on. You go on by allowing the unbearable days to pass and allowing the pleasure in other days. You go on by finding a channel for your love and another for your rage. Point 25. Letting go of expectation when it comes to one's children is close to impossible. The entire premise of our love for them has to do with creating, fostering, and nurturing people who will outlive us. To us, they are not so much who they are as who they will become. Point 26. The entire premise of your healing demands that you do let go of expectation. You must come to understand and accept that your son will always be only the man he actually was. The 22-year-old who made it as far as that red light. The one who loved you deeply. The one who long ago forgave you for asking why he didn't like girls. The one who would want you to welcome his boyfriend's new boyfriend into your life. The one who would want you to find joy and peace. The one who would want you to be the man he didn't get to be. Point 27. To be anything else dishonors him. Point 28. The kindest and most meaningful thing anyone ever says to me is, your mother would be proud of you. Finding a way in my grief to become the woman whom my mother raised me to be is the most important way I have honored my mother. It has been the greatest salve to my sorrow. The strange and painful truth is that I'm a better person because I lost my mom young. When you say you experience my writing as sacred, what you are touching is the divine place within me that is my mother. Sugar is the temple I built in my obliterated place. I'd give it all back in a snap, but the fact is, my grief taught me things. It showed me shades and hues I couldn't have otherwise seen. It required me to suffer. It compelled me to reach. Point 29. Your grief has taught you too, living dead dad, many beautiful things. By Cheryl Strayed. And we have 19 minutes left or thereabouts for comments, questions, answers. When I read things like that, I usually like to give myself some silent time because I don't feel as though I can add much of value to writing that powerful. So I thank you for listening, and we are open for comments or questions.
Are all of our mics open, Dr. Tim?
Yes, you are open.
Okay. Well, it's hard to talk as well. That is so gorgeous. I would like to, I bet Jeannie's already put it in the note, knowing Jeannie, or at least access to where to get it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I believe she found a space for it and put it in yesterday's notes since we were talking about it at the end of the show.
Oh, okay.
I think she found that it had been posted on a blog by Cheryl, and so it's available as that blog post without having to buy the book, Tiny Beautiful Things. But it's also one of the many entries in that book. And Cheryl Strayed is a powerful writer who put out the book Wild is the title, which is a book about her trek and her loss of her mother when she was young. And soon after that, this book came out because she had been writing as the advice columnist, Dear Sugar, for years prior to that.
Diederik Walzak says that we experience all of the emotions we're going to experience by the time we're 8. This would lead me to think that that just isn't true. I've been thinking about that, and it doesn't matter what the truth of it is, but certainly this father had feelings that he'd never had before.
Well, one way to make that, since your mind tends to want to reconcile all of these things at a logical level, one way to do that is to just say, come down on either side of it you want. It's easy if you just want to come down on it and say, yeah, that's not true because he never felt this before. If you want to hold that it is true, then you just say he's experiencing an intensity of the loss or the grief or the hurt or the confusion that's unlike anything he'd ever felt before.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same, right? And most of us have seen toddlers wailing and screaming over not getting something they want or losing something that they wanted to keep, as though someone was stripping the flesh off of them.
All right.
And so most of us, by the time we're 8 years old, have known grief and loss. And the thought might be, okay, this is just far more intense. Deeper, of a longer duration, but But that would be one way to make sense of it if you wanted to follow that logic, that our first 6, 7, or 8 years, depending upon which experts you rely on, of our life, we download all the emotions we're ever going to have. And then beyond that, we just keep replaying those dynamics, as odd as it might seem. And as we were talking about yesterday, there's a wisdom in that that's contained in Guy Finley's work, Bruce Lipton's work, Michael Rice's work. Michael has the 3 early memories of conflict for that very reason, as an exercise to uncover how I downloaded these beliefs about myself and about life and about my relationship with life and my safety and relationships. And I downloaded that when I was younger, and now every time a conflict comes up, I simply replay my life from those beliefs and those behaviors. So the absolute truth of it isn't as relevant to me as how useful it is to operationally define it. In other words, to look at how it actually works in my life, and then based on those observations, find new ways to approach my life to help me get better results.
Mm. Well, I did the mind shifter that we talked about yesterday, and having heard that Dear Sugar thing, I'm going to add some of the things I heard in there. They're very helpful to dealing with the stress of my present situation. I have a very much alive son struggling badly, but.
So would you like to refresh us as to the content of the mind shifter?
Sure. It morphed. I've never had this happen before, but it went from it is safe and healing for me to be at peace and joyful and hopeful and productive when my son feels like shit. That's what I wrote, but, doesn't feel well, isn't doing well. And I learned a lot from that one, but then realized that one isn't exactly right. So it became, it is safe and healing for me to see my son as capable of healing himself and finding his way. It showed me that I don't believe in his strength. This was really hard to see, but it's the way it was. And it had another arm to it, which was, I am a worthy person, even if my son doesn't need me or need fixing or helping by me. That's a lot of work got to be in there. I've only done one worksheet because the mind shifter went on so long. The worksheet I did was, I might lose my son altogether if I am happy while he is sad. So, but what I learned is that I don't have much faith in his capacity to find his own way without my help. Holy mackerel. I won't say anything about that, but
well, that's a really good one to become aware of.
Yeah.
Right? That's hidden
right.
Pretty deep.
Yep. Or that my son is like a child and needs guidance and protection. I am wise and can provide this. Talk about arrogance. Wow, just incredible. Or I am failing to see him as capable and healthy without my help. All of these. Even not doing the worksheets, it's been extremely helpful just to have those insights. And it really, I do believe that if I see him as capable, he will become capable if he hasn't been before. And sure enough, today he's suffering. He's in a lot of pain. I know we don't suffer according to the Course in Miracles, but he is experiencing whatever he's doing, and his face looks just pinched, and he's in pain, but I do feel more detached And he is taking steps, practical steps, to move ahead rather than just go back into medicine, which he has done 3 or 4 times now. Go back in and do the route again. Go around the cycle. Drive himself to collapse and then leave. And he's doing some things differently this time. And I loved it when Cheryl Sugar said, the best thing my mother could have said to me is, I'm proud of you, because I have been saying that to him, and I can really say it. Just back off from advice, but just say, I'm proud of you. You're doing it. This is not easy, and you're doing it. So this is very much a work in progress, and I've got this habit now. I told you I'm using your patter sheet. I've actually printed them out so I can write on them, and I'm writing stuff that comes to mind all the way down that page, so it's a whole other page of thoughts and memories, incredible memories. It is so rich. So I don't really need to say any more about it, I don't think, or if anybody else is calling in, they should. But I'm practicing trusting that Jonathan can make his way, pretty much. And it's a relief.
I'll bet.
To know that.
I'll bet. It's a relief to see into some of the false beliefs, and it will continue to benefit you if you let yourself explore the origins of those false beliefs within yourself.
There are so many.
Well, you know how we talk about how it's all an inside job.
Yeah.
And in the bottom line observation, there is this one of them that says, I'll never be upset about anything anybody else ever says or doesn't do that I think they should, unless I'm still judging myself negatively for doing the same or similar thing.
Right.
Notice what happens if you apply that to this pattern with your son. You will begin to explore what part of you feels incompetent and incapable, and as though you need to be rescued or saved.
Wow, that's big too.
And the more you dismantle that and step into the awareness of your strength and your competence, the less you're going to see others as weak and needing to be rescued. Because people show up in your mind dressed in your problems. You've heard Michael say that dozens of times. So whenever I go out to rescue somebody else, it's because a part of me feels like it needs to be rescued. And I'm hiding from that, and I'm masquerading on the outside as the superhero or the healer or the rescuer.
Wow, that has so many tentacles to it.
And it's so powerfully beneficial to see it, because it does have all of those tentacles to it, and it is the kind of thing that will drive your perception, and it is the kind of thing that will craft the flavor as well as the pattern of interaction in your relationships. It has to. So in order to see him as whole and complete and competent and capable, to truly see that, you have to step into your own competence. You have to uncover those places in you that feel that you aren't good enough and you aren't strong enough and you don't know which way is up and you don't know how to manage your emotions or live your life from the place of competence. And the more you do that, the better it is for everyone around you, especially those in your bloodline. So congratulations on your willingness to bring this issue up and your willingness to do the mind shifter and the worksheets on it, because that's what's going to bring you the resolution.
Yeah, there are so many edges to this. When I was pregnant with him, I've mentioned this before. I said what I thought was my most sincere prayer, as if sincerity in prayer brings God into the picture. But in any case, that night I had a dream that was like a 3-day-long revelation. And I told him about that. And he has used that dream himself. And it occurred to me after doing this that I said to him, have you ever thought of praying with that dream in mind? I won't go into the details of it. He said, great idea. I'll do that. And he went to lie down to take a nap, and I went home, and I'd been walking the dog with him. And he called me later and said, I lay down, and I said, I can't handle this anymore. And he said this sense of peace came over me that was huge, and I slept for an hour and then could get up and felt as if I could face my life. So it's wonderful to do these worksheets and the mind shifter too, but the God element, however it shows up in your life, is so helpful too. And he's at the place I've talked, but I just lie down and picture God's hand on me, and there is some peace there. So he's going way, way into this himself, and I'm working on allowing and trusting that he can do this without Mother running in. Holy crow.
That's big. That's big, and I support you in that any way I can, and please feel free to keep us posted. We are at the end of our hour, so I will. I have been unable to do much with the switchboard from my end, Jeannie. I hope you're still there with your mic on. So I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love. Everything else is false. Are you there, Jeannie?
I am. Thank you. And
right,
I'm glad you read that.
Show.
That was beautiful. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
All righty.